For more than 2 millennia, the story of Atlantis has captivated philosophers, explorers, historians, archaeologists, and ordinary people searching for a forgotten chapter of humanity's past. The image of a magnificent island civilization swallowed by the sea has become one of the most enduring legends in human history. But the question of Atlantis is not merely whether a lost city exists beneath the ocean. The deeper question is one that resonates with historians and genealogists alike. How do human beings remember their past? Families preserve stories across generations. Cultures preserve traditions through myths, legends, and oral histories. Sometimes those stories change, become embellished, or merge with other memories, but they often contain fragments of genuine historical experiences. Tonight, we will examine Atlantis not as a fantasy, but as a case study in cultural memory. We will follow the story from ancient Greece, through archaeological discoveries, Ice Age climate events, and modern scientific research to ask a timeless question. Could Atlantis be the memory of a real catastrophe preserved across thousands of years? The earliest and only surviving ancient account of Atlantis comes from the Greek philosopher Plato, who described the civilization in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias around 360 BCE. According to Plato, the story had been told to the Athenian statesman Solon during his visit to Egypt, approximately 2 centuries earlier. Egyptian priests allegedly informed Solon that Atlantis had existed roughly 9,000 years before his own lifetime. This detail is one of the greatest mysteries surrounding the legend because it places Atlantis around 9,600 BCE, at the end of the last ice age. Plato described Atlantis as a powerful maritime civilization located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the ancient name for the Strait of Gibraltar. It possessed advanced engineering, magnificent architecture, fertile lands, and immense wealth. Yet Atlantis ultimately fell because its people became corrupted by greed and ambition. According to Plato, earthquakes and floods caused the island to sink beneath the ocean in a single day and night of misfortune. Genealogists understand that every story has a lineage. A family story may begin with a single individual, pass through multiple generations, and eventually reach descendants centuries later. Along the way, details may be forgotten, exaggerated, misunderstood, or adapted to the needs of a new generation. The story of Atlantis may have followed a similar journey. If Plato recorded a genuine Egyptian tradition, then the Atlantis narrative had already been transmitted for hundreds or perhaps thousands of years before it was ever written down. This concept is known as cultural transmission. Much like genetic inheritance passes DNA from one generation to the next, societies pass memories, traditions, and identities through oral inheritance. The Atlantis story therefore has a genealogy of its own, with each storyteller becoming a link in a chain, reaching back into the ancient past. For centuries, many scholars dismiss Plato's date as impossible because no known civilization matching his description existed around 9,600 BCE. However, modern archaeology has dramatically changed our understanding of prehistoric humanity. The end of the last ice age was a period of extraordinary environmental transformation. Vast glaciers melted, causing sea levels to rise more than 400 feet worldwide over thousands of years. Entire coastal landscapes where prehistoric communities once lived disappeared beneath the oceans. Archaeologists now recognize that many early human populations preferred coastal environments because they provided abundant food and resources. The challenge is obvious. The evidence of many of those ancient communities may now be underwater, making them extremely difficult to study. This does not prove Atlantis existed, but it demonstrates that humanity did experience enormous environmental changes that could have inspired enduring memories of lands lost to the sea. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Atlantis debate is that the story is not unique. Nearly every major civilization possesses traditions of catastrophic floods and the destruction of an earlier world. The Mesopotamians recorded the flood of Utnapishtim in the Epic of Gilgamesh. The Hebrews preserved the story of Noah. The Greeks told of Deucalion and Pyrrha, the survivors of a great flood. Indigenous cultures across the Americas, Australia, and the Pacific also preserve stories of rising waters and lands that disappeared. For historians, these traditions raise an important question. Are these simply universal myths created independently by different cultures, or do some of them preserve memories of real environmental events experienced by ancient peoples? Modern research into oral traditions has demonstrated that some societies can preserve memories of geological events for thousands of years. This possibility has transformed how scholars view ancient myths. The most widely accepted historical inspiration for Atlantis is not an Ice Age civilization but the Bronze Age Minoans of Crete and the nearby island of Thura, modern-day Santorini. Around the 16th century BCE, one of the largest volcanic eruptions in human history devastated the island of Thura. The eruption destroyed settlements, generated massive tsunamis, and likely weakened the Minoan civilization that dominated the Mediterranean world. The discovery of Akrotiri in the 19th and 20th centuries revealed an extraordinarily sophisticated society with multi-story buildings, indoor plumbing, colorful artwork, and extensive maritime trade. To ancient Greeks looking back upon the distant past, the memory of a wealthy island civilization destroyed by natural catastrophe could easily have evolved into the story that Plato later recorded. The search for Atlantis has inspired centuries of exploration. Some researchers have proposed locations in the Atlantic Ocean, the Mediterranean, southern Spain, the Black Sea, and the Caribbean. While no discovery has been accepted as Atlantis, underwater archaeology has revealed a surprising truth. Many ancient landscapes do indeed lie beneath modern oceans. Submerged settlements have been found around the world, demonstrating that rising seas dramatically changed the environments of prehistoric peoples. These discoveries remind us that the ancient world was larger than the surviving ruins visible on land. The mystery of Atlantis has attracted both serious researchers and extraordinary claims. Some theories describe Atlantis as a technologically advanced civilization that taught all other ancient cultures. Others claim it possessed impossible technologies or knowledge beyond the capabilities of ancient humanity. These ideas remain unsupported by archaeological evidence. The real discoveries of archaeology are already remarkable. Ancient people developed agriculture, navigation, engineering, astronomy, and complex societies through human innovation over thousands of years. The true story of humanity does not need mythical technology to be extraordinary. Genealogy teaches us that identity is not preserved only in documents and DNA. It survives in names, traditions, languages, ceremonies, and stories. Many families possess stories of ancestors that contain errors, missing details, and romanticized elements. Yet when investigated, they often reveal a foundation of historical truth. The same may be true of ancient legends. Atlantis may not have been a single island kingdom with golden temples and impossible technology. It may represent humanity's collective memory of migration, climate change, lost coastlines, and civilizations destroyed by natural disasters. In this way, Atlantis becomes not merely a lost place but an ancestral memory. New technologies continue to transform our understanding of the ancient world. Marine archaeology, sonar mapping, satellite imaging, ancient DNA studies, and climate science are revealing details about human populations that previous generations could not imagine. Each year, researchers discover new evidence of ancient migrations, forgotten settlements, and the remarkable adaptability of our ancestors. The future may never reveal an Atlantis exactly as Plato described it. But it may continue to uncover the real stories of the ancient people whose experiences gave birth to such legends. After more than 2,400 years, Atlantis remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. The evidence does not support the existence of a global supercivilization that vanished beneath the sea. Yet modern archaeology has shown us that the ancient world was far more complex than earlier generations understood. The greatest lesson of Atlantis may not be about discovering a lost city. It may be about recognizing how humanity remembers its past. Every family has its legends. Every culture has its origin stories. Some are literal history, some are symbolic, and many exist somewhere between the two. Perhaps Atlantis is not a place waiting to be found. Perhaps it is a memory waiting to be understood. Thank you for joining me on this journey into one of history's greatest mysteries. Whether Atlantis was a real civilization, a memory of ancient floods and lost coastlines, or a philosophical lesson preserved by Plato, the legend continues to challenge how we think about the ancient world. For genealogists, the story of Atlantis reminds us that memory is itself a form of inheritance. Just as families pass down names, traditions, and stories through generations, entire civilizations preserve their identities through myths and oral histories. Modern archaeology, climate science, and the study of ancient cultures continue to reveal that our ancestors were more connected, resilient, and sophisticated than we once imagined. The search for Atlantis is ultimately a search for ourselves, our origins, our memories, and the stories we choose to preserve. If you enjoyed this exploration of Atlantis in the ancient world, Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with fellow history enthusiasts.